Hello everyone, Banyuki here again with another video. This time I'm going to be talking about the TCL635. This is the mid-range model that now has mini LED backlight. This is the 75-inch model, and the reason I got this TV is because a friend of mine really liked my 55CX, and I figured, well, I'll sell it to him, and he's a good friend of mine, so I sold to him for about $1,000. And with $1,000, I figured, all right, maybe I'll get something else, something that I don't have to baby, because I already own a 77-inch C9 in the next room. So if you have one OLED, that should be good enough, but I was getting silly by buying two of them. So I just figured he's going to be moving soon, so he'll need a new TV to basically, round out his place. So goodbye to 55CX and hello the 75 TCL. TCL is a TV that I've dealt with before. I'm very familiar with their settings, their white point balance, all that you could do through the Roku app on your cell phone. This TV is a bit different because it is the introduction to mini LED in the 6 series. Mini LED first came out in the 8 series last year, and it had some ups and downs. It was a decent attempt, I believe, and I've seen it in person, but I could tell there was like a big gap between that and, say, an OLED. This TV, it's a decent TV. It's actually really good for LCD. Against the TV next door, the 77-inch C9, it's not quite there yet, but you also have to look at the price. I looked at it today. The 77-inch CX is going for about $4,500 to $4,600 depending on where you look. I was able to pick up this TCL 75-inch from Best Buy on Sunday for $13.99. So there's definitely a big price gap, and what I'll show you in this video is whether or not it's worth that big jump. It is an LCD, so it has a lot of drawbacks. You do get some motion blur. You do get blooming with its backlight, but the mini LEDs do help out quite a bit, and I've seen a lot of reviews that go back and forth. Artings, which is a really good website to get a good basis of what you are looking for in a television, they got a 55-inch model, and they basically ragged on it, and I can't speak for that experience that they had, but I did read other people's experiences. And I think Digital Trends, they got a 65-inch model, and they said they previously had a 55, and out of the box it had a lot of issues, and then they got a 65-inch, and all of a sudden those issues were rectified. I don't know. Panel lottery is a real thing, especially with TCL. Some people said, hey, Bon, I don't know. I mean, I got dirty screen effect on mine. How does yours look? And I'm like, mine's looking okay. But I've seen other TCLs where it's like, whoa, you got a really nice one, and when I go to the store, it doesn't look that great. So I guess it depends on how your setup is, but Artings was not very... I mean, they didn't kill it. I mean, they still give it a decent review, but they weren't blown away by it. This one, I'm not blown away by the image quality. I'm more blown away by the price. Because after playing around with this and seeing the other LCDs out there, I don't really understand how... I mean, I've seen a few of them really drop in price, $500-$600 since this TV was released. Now, you could say it's because of age. They've been out 3-4 months, and because of the pandemic, people don't have the money to be buying these things, which I totally understand. Fortunately for me, I'm in a career that is pretty much COVID-proof, so I didn't have to deal with any of that stuff. And that's why I picked up the 55CX, and it was great. Another thing that Artings brought up in their review is the lack of VR, or should I say untested VR. Now, right now, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, but I have Freesync enabled on this television. I put on an RX 570, which is down below there. There's a PC in there. It's a Core i5 RX 570. And I've been watching this for a while. I don't have any tearing, and it usually has tearing when you turn VSync off and whatnot. I did some testing on Blur Busters. I just found it really odd that they said that it enabled it by default, and I got that also, that enabled by default. And I might as well show you guys what this thing can do. So let me get out of RetroArch. Oh, well, just to show you guys that I mean business here. Let's see if I could do this through the camera. Sometimes you'll see some funny things, but yeah, sync to exact frame rate, G-Sync / Freesync. It's on. So, I mean, that's a test that I run. There's a couple other tests you can do with Blur Busters, and I was looking at that earlier as well, just to see what we're looking. Oh, that's my big box. Let me get out of this. Yeah, I do have big box. I like it. It's a pretty good front end. I had this PC in an arcade box. I have an arcade cabinet, so I had it in there. And, well, I no longer need that in there. So right now I am, wow, input lag. Well, display lag on this phone is really bad. So right now, let's go to the AMD Radeon software. And if you look at the display, let's look at the display specs. And you'll clearly see, I don't know if you guys can see it, I am currently running it in 1440p. And you can see the range right there. It says AMD FreeSync refresh rate, 48 to 120. And from what I've seen, just in the little test that I've run, it runs pretty fine. Now, there is one big difference I've noticed from the LG CX's quote-unquote G-Sync compatible versus this. The G-Sync compatible, at least on the OLED C9 that I have, and the CX, both had LFC. This TV does not seem to have that. When I go to Blur Busters and it goes below 45, it starts stuttering like crazy. So I don't think it's doing that LFC or frame insertion, whatever you guys want to call it. I don't think it supports that. So it's not a FreeSync Premium or FreeSync Premium Pro, whatever you guys want to call it. It's just like a basic FreeSync. But hey, for $13.99 and it's only HDMI 2.0 ports, yeah, and that's a pretty bad sign. It's not 2.1, but for $13.99, I mean, it's not bad. You got Big Navi being revealed tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. I might just buy a mid-range Big Navi for this room because this is like my game room. So I just have like games and stuff in here. This is not the media room. I have way more stuff upstairs, but that's like CRTs and whatnot. I mean, I do have my Sony right there connected to this guy, so I can do, CRT when I want, and then I could do, big screen when people come over, that sort of thing. But, like I said, this TV is pretty decent for the money. And that's what you got to keep saying to yourself, for the money, for the money, for the money. I mean, I don't know how Samsung and the other vendors can get away with charging like $1,000 more than this TV. I just looked at the Q80. I just said, Q80T, let me see how much it's going for. And it was going for $2,300, and I'm like, that's $900 more than this television. Is it worth the $900? No. I mean, that's easy for me to say because I have an OLED in the next room, so I could just go. If I really want great picture quality, I could just go next room. One thing I have to bring up that people are going to automatically say, hey, the mini LEDs, do they add lag? Apparently they do. And at first I was sitting there, I was like, well, that's a pretty high number. Artings had it at 18. Using my Time Sleuth, I was getting around 20. So I don't know what they were doing versus what I was doing. I couldn't get it down. I mean, maybe they had it in a different location because the Time Sleuth has these bars that come up and they flash on the screen. I've used them on the channel before. So I was only able to get 20, but they were able to get 18, Maybe they changed off some settings. I mean, I have my settings pretty nuclear here. If you look at this, I have brighter, direct, vivid, and you go to picture settings, and you go to high. Dynamic contrast to me is worthless, but this local contrast here, if you look at what it says, auto adjust blacklight level for the screen's local dimming zones. So, for instance, if I want to say Okay, now it's blacked out. All right. I don't know how this camera's going to catch it, but let's see. And if you know, I have the backlight all the way up. So if I go to that, you see that how it's sort of grayed out? And then it looks a little better, a little better. And then it's now actually black. High actually looks pretty decent. It's not going to be as black as an OLED, but it makes a big difference, and it makes me feel like, okay, the mini LEDs are actually doing something. This TV does have black frame insertion, and as you can see, the dimming hit, at least at 120 hertz, it's not even there. Look at it. It looks like it's almost getting brighter. It is a bit odd, isn't it? Yeah, I just noticed that. It looks like it's getting brighter. It does add some input delay. We're talking like half a frame, which is understandable because the way black frame insertion works anyway. I don't think it makes that big of a difference. But if you really get tired with the motion blur on it, you could always try it out and see. I mean, it's nice that it's there. I believe it's only working like properly for 60 hertz. I don't think it does have support for 120 hertz black frame insertion. And you can see here, I was just running these tests, so you can see like the VSync of how well it runs. And I don't know if you're going to see this on the camera, but anytime it gets underneath, like I said, 48 or 45, I've noticed it really fast. It starts getting stuttery. You'll notice it. So as you can see here, I don't see any tearing, but I do see some stuttering once that number gets a little lower. Let me see if I could bring that number a bit down. See, I had it on random because I wanted to see if, we could actually see it in action. So yeah, looking at it looks smooth. So it looks like FreeSync is working to me. One thing I've noticed is I have a touring card in the house. It's in the PC it's a 1660 Super. I sold my 2080 Ti, which that's all I do is buy and sell stuff. But I hooked up the 1660 Super to this television, and I did not get the G-Sync. There's a little option in the NVIDIA control panel. I did not get that G-Sync option. It was not there. Just to be on the safe side, I did try putting in the 1660 Super back to my LG C9, and it did show up. So it's got to be something with either NVIDIA's driver or maybe the firmware on this television. But for those out there who are looking for a budget television that doesn't break the bank and actually performs pretty decently, I mean, it's not an OLED. Don't get it twisted. It's not an OLED. I think my trade, I mean, I paid a little bit more money out of the pocket from a 55-inch LG CX, 55CX, I mean, the LG OLED, going to this TCL75. There's a little more input delay. This does have FreeSync support. The other one has G-Sync support, and I'm hoping they both have HDMI VRR. It says it does. We'll see. I'm not sure. We'll have to find out. I'll try to find out as soon as I can once I get either a big Navi card or an Ampere card. But this TV is not bad for the money. I'm not going crazy over it. I mean, it's a secondary television in the house. It's basically replacing a projector that I'm selling to another friend of mine. And the projector was great and all, but it was so big. It was so massive. It was too much for my senses. It was great, though. One thing I liked about that DLP is it had great motion blur. But that, I already did a video on that, so you guys know what's up there. But yeah, I mean, I got these old consoles on here. I got, 360, Saturn, Dreamcast. That is a Wii. And then there's a modded Xbox, PS3, the Mister, a PS4, and then, PC right there. And I got the OSSC right there. So this thing's, it's nice because I don't have to baby it. With the OLEDs, I get really nervous and stuff because of burn-in. I've seen it. I've seen image retention. And thankfully, it goes away. The CX was actually, the C9 are both really good with that. I used to have a C7, and the C7, I had to worry about it because it would have it. And then I remember playing a game on it, and the image retention was there for about an hour. And I had left the TV off for a few days before I went back to it, and it was finally gone. But I don't want to do that ever again. With a VA panel like this, I don't have to worry about it. Now, you see what's interesting is I'm here in the camera and you're seeing that blooming. I don't see that in person right now. I don't know because it's an off-angle thing, but I have noticed that if you're off-angle, you will see the blooming, but if you're dead center, and that's just one of the reasons why I picked up a 75-inch, is so it's even with the sofa, because I'm like on a sofa right here. You're pretty much sitting directly in front no matter what, on the sofa, so you have a pretty decent viewing angle no matter which way you go. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to pick a 75, and plus the price, it was only $13.99. $13.99 for 75-inch is actually pretty decent. So if you guys got questions or comments, people that want to know, hey, does this work on this? I got a lot of hardware I can toss around, but it looks like Freesync is legit on it, and it looks like it works for me. So if you have a TCL out there, one of the latest versions, and you want to try it out with your AMD card, knock yourself out. I believe Xbox Xbox One X also has FreeSync on it. You could try that as well. And from what it looks like here, it looks like it works. So, all right, guys. Catch you later.